I asked and you guys delivered. I asked for book recommendations and you guys kept them coming. There's so many books that you guys have recommended that I am literally like my reading list is so long now thanks to each and every single one of you. And I mean, all of the books that you guys have recommended are quite interesting. I picked up one of them and it was so fascinating. Well, I don't know if fascinating is the right word to use, but it was an interesting read that I think I was done in 3 days. It's a very quick read. And then there's some books that you guys have recommended that, yeah, like Hunting Adeline. I don't know who thought this was going to be a good idea. I am only halfway, and I would say I'm very, very traumatized. But you know what? I will not go into that book specifically because I will do a separate video for that. If ever I don't want to finish reading this book, I will finish and I will do a video specifically for it. But for today, welcome back, my beautiful nerd gang. Welcome to another Nerd Out session with me. So, and one of the books that you guys gave me was Following by Jeffry W. Johnston. This is a psychological thriller, but for young adults. So it was a little bit too kiddie for me, but I know if this book was recommended to me before I went into my little true crime deep dive obsession, whatever you call it, I think I would have definitely enjoyed this one because when I was reading this, I kept saying, "Oh my god!" Because I've read a lot of psychological thrillers, a lot of horror thrillers. I've also watched a lot of horror movies. I've also watched a lot of true crime documentaries. So this one felt a little bit too amateur for me. But anyway, let's get to the story. Welcome. Welcome to the world that is following. So in this world, we have Eldon. I think he's a 16-year-old boy. He lives with his uncle because both his parents died. And the interesting thing about this book is that it goes into him remembering about his parents and what happened, what caused their death, and what is happening now. So I have one question for you. I have one question for you before we talk about my boy Eldon. Do you ever stalk people? Don't lie. Do you stalk people? I personally don't, but I recently found out that a lot of people do. And it's not the stalking as in psycho serial killer following you around, taking pictures of you when you're not looking. It's more so stalking people on social media. Stalking people, especially on Instagram. I recently found out that a lot of people do. One of my closest friends back in varsity in high school, she was very good at this. Like, she could stalk the hell out of anybody and everybody. Like I said, I personally don't do it. I don't have a reason to do it, but so many people do it. And our boy Eldon, he does it. But Eldon takes it a step further and he literally follows people around. I know you're probably sitting there rolling your eyes and thinking, oh my God, why? Why? You will find out later. And it has to do with his parents passing away. But anyway, Eldon likes following people around. He follows everybody around ever since his parents died. And today, when we begin the book, he is following Greg and around. Greg is your perfect high school boy who plays sports, is super good looking, he's not a bully, he's very nice, he's kind to everybody, he is Christian. That's one thing that you must remember. Greg is Christian, and Greg has this girlfriend of his called Amy, who is also Christian. Amy is a little bit more Christian than Greg, but they are literally the perfect couple. So Eldon is following Greg around, and Greg is going a little bit past where he normally is. He doesn't go to his baseball field where he normally goes. He doesn't go to Amy's house. He passes his house. So Eldon is following him and he's like, Greg, what are you doing? Where are you going? It's after school, bruh. Where are you going? And so he follows him around and he goes to the far side of the little town where they stay. Like, it's almost like halfway to another town where there is this field, an abandoned field. And when he's there, before he gets there, Greg gets a call. He answers the call, but when he answers the call, he seems very agitated. He seems angry with whoever he's on the call with. And so Eldon takes out his note. By the way, he carries a note. He Eldon, he wants to be an investigator. So he likes to think of himself as an investigator. So that's one of the things he does. He takes notes. He takes out notes and he jots it down that, oh, he saw Craig, answer a call and he's annoyed. So he carries on following Craig, but obviously he tries to keep his distance, tries to make sure that Craig doesn't see him. And then they get to the field. And when they get to the field, this beautiful red-haired girl comes up and she hugs Greg. And this girl from is Amy. This is Amy, Greg's girlfriend. And Eldon is like, why are they meeting so far out? And he knows both of them are Christian. And one thing that Amy takes pride in is the fact that she's waiting. So her and Craig are not doing it. So clearly, they're not at this abandoned field to do it. So why are they here? And as Eldon is following them, he can't hear what they're saying, but he can see their body language. He can see how everything is going. And Craig doesn't look happy. He does not look happy at all. So he's shouting at her and whatnot. And they go behind the wall. And when they get behind the wall, Eldon hears a trant, a bang, like someone has been hit, and he moves a little bit closer to see, and what he sees is that Greg is holding a bag, a very heavy book bag, by the way, and the bag has blood stains, and he follows around and he looks, and Amy is on the ground and she's bleeding, and some of the blood has gotten into Greg's clothes and his shoes specifically, but it's not a lot of blood. And Eldon panics and he runs away. Because in his mind, he thinks that Greg has bumped his girlfriend in the head and killed her. So he runs away. What would you do in that moment? What do you actually do when you witness a murder? Do you run to the police? But again, if he runs to the police, he has to explain to the police what he was doing. So instead, he runs into his best friend Charlie's house. Charlie is described as a very beautiful girl, very strong girl, very tall girl. She does powerlifting or bodybuilding. I don't remember which one it was, but I think she does powerlifting. She's very strong. She's very athletic. She doesn't play any specific sports, but she does lift a lot of weights. And they have been friends since they were kids. They have been friends since forever. When I was reading this, I was like, I feel like the author wanted to describe a boy. No, don't come at me, because girls can be all of that and more. But just, it felt like maybe he wanted to describe a boy, I don't know. But that's Charlie, that's her nickname, Charlie. Her dad is chief of police. So when her best friend comes up to her, telling her, I just witnessed a murder, the first thing in her head is, dude, let's call the police. Let's call the police. Let's tell them everything. And let's go. And Greg doesn't really want to go. And what's going on with you? So it turns out that there has been a lot of prank calls to the police. And the police would arrive thinking that there's a crime being committed, and there's nothing. Nothing is happening. And all these calls have been coming from Eldon. Eldon. So think about the boy that cried wolf. So it's kind of like that moment right now where he's made all these false calls. And now there's one time where he needs the police to actually act, But again, to his defense, whenever he made these calls, it's because he thought he saw something. He genuinely thought he saw something. And this stems from the fact that his parents were shot dead. And we find out later that he actually met the guy, saw the guy that would later kill his parents, and he let him go. So in his mind, he's just trying to avoid anybody else dying. Like, to him, it feels like if he catches someone who's about to harm someone, that will be vindication for his parents. the person that did kill his parents shot himself, so he died. So there was never an answer to him as to why this guy killed his parents or anything like that. But it's something that stayed with him, and it's one of the main reasons why he starts following people around. But anyway, so he doesn't want to go call the cops, but Charlie says, you have to, you have to. So they decide that they're going to use a payphone. That is not, they cannot be tracked, so they go to a payphone and they make the call to the police. And after that, they go see, and the police obviously drive to the scene. And the next day, they're just waiting for news of the fact that the body has been found, but there was no body. The police found no body. There was no body. So did he see what he actually saw or not? So Charlie is like, okay, let's look around and see if there's anything we can find that maybe the police missed or anything. I don't think the police did a check, because when they got there and there was no body, they were like, it's another prank, and they just left. But had they stayed a little bit longer, they would have realized there was something there. And when Charlie and Eldon start looking around, they find a necklace, Amy's necklace. So Amy has this cross that she wears around every single day. She doesn't take it off, and this cross has her name on it, and it says "Love Amy" from Dad and Mom. It's very important to her. So the fact that they found it here sort of proves that Amy is dead. Craig killed her. So they now decide, like, okay, they're not going to call the police for the second time. So they're going to do investigation of their own. And the first thing they do is they like ask around, where's Amy? And they find out that Amy is a church camp. Amy is a church camp. So Charlie's like, Amy's a church camp. I don't know what you saw. Maybe her necklace just dropped or whatever. But in a way, I don't like Charlie's character very much. I don't like Eldon's character either. I don't know whose character I like in this book. I don't know. But anyway, Charlie is flip-flopping, It's like, I believe you, I don't believe you. Then they start to do their own investigations. They tail Craig around. They go to his family, and they think they need to find, the bag that he used to kill her. They can find the bag, then, and if it's bloody, then they can go to the police. So they break into Greg's house. Yeah, they break into Greg's house. And this was pissing me off, because in my mind, I'm like, if they break into Greg's house and they find whatever they find, like, yeah, you are destroying the evidence, because now the evidence has your DNA. They're not thinking straight. They're just pissing me off. But it's okay. They break into his house. They find the bag. It's an intense breaking. Like, it had me on my, like, oh my God, are they going to get caught or not? I actually enjoyed that part. And they break into the house. They find the bag. And then after they see Greg, he also, like, has something else, like his clothes that he was wearing. He puts them in the plastic and he tries to throw them away. So they then go and dig into Greg's dustbin, and they take the clothes with them and they run off. And Charlie's like, we need to take this to the police. And Eldon is like, we need more evidence. I was so frustrated at this point, because I'm like, what more evidence do you need? There is no body, but there is blood, and you're a witness. Just tell them what you saw. Give them the blood. They'll see it's Amy's blood. Let us call the church camp and find out if Amy's really there or not. If she's not there, by the way, they do. Charlie, who seems to have more brains in this whole thing, calls, and she hears that, oh, Amy's actually not at the church thing. But I mean, it could happen that maybe she was late and maybe something happened, but there is a reason why probably Amy is not there. I don't know. She's dead, right? We all know she's dead. So they gather the evidence, they get the clothes, they get everything. Eldon feels like they need more. They need to tell him more. They need to do whatever. One of the things that he actually does very, like, dumb, is while they are breaking into Greg's house, he drops his notebook. And the thing is, Charlie told him, don't write anything down. but he wrote notes. So he drops his note bag. He eventually goes back and he finds it exactly where he left it. But it's quite odd because Greg and his family were out and about, but they didn't see the note bag. They didn't see it. Why didn't they see it? I'll leave it alone. See, like there's so many gaps. It's very. It's. I feel like It's like you want to tell true crime. You want to tell crime, but you want to sugarcoat it. You want to make it kid friendly. That's how I felt about this book. It felt very amateur to me. Even reading it, it's such an easy read. Like there's no, it's not sophisticated writing, and I'm not one to speak on anyone's writing but I feel like it's not sophisticated writing, and I think the author chose this style of writing because of his audience. Because this book is essentially told from Eldon's perspective, and it's in first person, and he's describing everything. And sometimes it gets boring, like when he's following Greg around, and Greg is just playing baseball. Like I'm bored. Eldon is bored. Everybody in this situation is bored. But anyway, so yeah, they get more evidence. They get his clothes, they get the bag, they get the necklace and everything, and they decide they're gonna turn it in. And Eldon's like, no, let's wait another day. All of this happened Friday, Saturday, by the way. And then on Sunday, they're like, let's go to church. So Eldon, since he now stays with his uncle, his dad's brother, who moved in after his parents died. His uncle is a very quiet guy. Like he's struggling with raising a teenager, struggling with raising a grieving teenager. He's grieving for his brother as well. So I think he's one of the only characters that I genuinely like. But I really liked Eldon's uncle. You could tell that he was trying to make something out of the situation that he was finding himself in. So he's just been trying, and Eldon sort of is not nice to him. Like you can tell this guy is trying, but you're not like just throw him a bone, like help him out. But yeah, he's like every time the uncle makes effort to hang out, he always just blows him off and everything. I think for him, he avoids having that one-on-one time with his uncle because if he does, then potentially his uncle wanna talk about his brother, Eldon's dad, and that would just devastate Eldon. So Sundays, him when his parents were alive, they used to go to church every day. Almost everybody in the town goes to church every day. Like Greg obviously goes to church with his family every day. Charlie goes to church with her family every day. Eldon used to go to church every day with his parents, but now with his uncle, sometimes his uncle is tired because his uncle has been taking on more hours, you know. So his uncle is tired, but he decided he's gonna go alone. Which, by the way, you know how judgy people are. They're gonna be judging the uncle, and he knows that, but he doesn't care. He decides to go alone, and while he's there, the entire time he's just looking at Greg. To the point that even the chief of police, Charlie's dad, notices that he's just looking at Greg. And Greg is a little bit tense. Normally, Greg sits with Amy, but Amy's at church camp. So he's sitting with his parents, and you can tell like he's not okay. He just killed somebody. Would you be okay? Would you? Anyway, so he's watching him the entire time after church. He follows him around. Like Greg is so boring. He goes and plays baseball. So again, and I'm like, Eldon, what more information will you get? This guy is boring. This guy is absolutely boring. Like, stop following him around and just give the police the evidence. They don't. Then Monday comes around and they decide on Monday before school, Eldon is gonna go drop off the bag somewhere and then make an anonymous call to the police and tell them everything that has happened, whatnot. So he goes in there, he puts the bag where the police will find it, he makes the call to the police and tells them that, oh, Greg killed Amy, I have evidence, I've left it in a bag, in a field, come fetch it. Just after making the call, as he's about to head back home, he gets a call from Charlie. And Charlie's like, Eldon, don't make the call. Don't make the call. And Eldon's like, why? And it's like, because Amy's alive. Amy is alive. She's walking, she's breathing. She doesn't have a necklace, but Amy is alive. So what did our boy see? What did he see? So Eldon, like by luck, and the thing is, as he's talking to the police, Charlie, the police arrive, but he's quick enough. He goes and he takes the bag and he runs to school. Goes to school and Amy is alive. So what did he see? Now he's thinking to himself, what on earth did he see? Did he actually see Greg kill her? Yes, he did. And then him and Charlie get into this big enormous fight. Charlie feels like, which is another reason why I don't like Charlie. Charlie was enjoying herself a little bit too much, breaking into Greg's house and all of that. But now she's making it all about Eldon saying, you made me do all of this. I would have never done all of this. You need to stop following people. She's right, but like the way that she acts about it. So she decides, I need space. Don't talk to me anymore. She starts ignoring her boy around. And the thing is, he doesn't have a lot of friends. He has friends, but like Charlie's, he's everything. I mean, when he goes back and we find out about what happened to his mom, we actually found out that he used to have a crush on Charlie. Like he used to have the biggest crush on Charlie, and he wanted to tell her how he feels. But after everything that happened to his mom, his crush on Charlie felt like the most like insignificant thing ever. So that's why he never really told her. And in a way, I think he kind of always blamed Charlie because when he bumped into the guy who later kills his parents, he wants to tell the police that this guy is acting weird. And Charlie's like, oh no, let's just go get ice cream. So he doesn't straight out say he blames Charlie, but you can kind of tell. You can kind of tell. But let's go back to what is happening now. Amy's alive, but the police are pissed. The chief, Charlie's dad, pissed. And rightfully so. And during break, there's an announcement, Charlie, that says Greg and Amy come to the office, and the police escort them because the police want to know what happened. Obviously, Amy's not dead, so obviously Greg didn't kill Amy. They think this is a prank call, but they kind of now know that the prank call is probably coming from someone in the school. It has to be personal, the fact that they used Amy and Greg's name. But no one really dwells on it too much. They talk about it, they gossip, they wonder what it is, and whatnot. So Charlie and Eldon are not talking anymore. After school, Eldon goes home alone, and he stays up and watches the news with his uncle. Watches news every day around 10 at night. As he's watching the news, he sees a missing person report, and guess who he sees? Redhead, beautiful girl. From far, you would definitely think this girl is Emily, is Amy, but it's Alicia from another school who happens to look very, very similar to Amy. So Eldon is like, it's Alicia. He killed Alicia. But now he can't call Charlie because him and Charlie are not talking. So he decides that he's gonna find evidence. So he goes up to his room, he goes through the bag, Greg's things, and inside the bag he finds a phone, a burner phone, and the phone has like a selfie of Greg and Alicia. And there were always rumors that Greg was cheating on Amy, but Greg is sort of perfect, and Amy is perfect. Who would cheat on Amy? But there were always rumors, especially considering that Amy was gonna wait until marriage. Greg was waiting too, but you never know. So she finds a selfie of Alicia and Greg. And then there's another folder. The other folder is locked. But teenage girls, guys, teenage girl, he breaks into it so easily because the password is G and A. Do better. G and A. So he breaks into it and there are more pictures. This had intimate pictures, the pictures of Greg and Alicia kissing, pictures of Greg and Alicia in bed. And then he now knows it wasn't Amy. He did witness murder. It just was the wrong girl. So this time he decides, how is he gonna do it? He goes back to school, and here is where I got the most frustrated. So as he goes to school, he sees Amy and Greg and Amy and Greg are having an argument. Everybody's staring. He's trying to hide, but he's also watching them. And Amy's crying, and he goes to comfort Amy. There are also undertones of the fact that he probably also has a crush on Amy. It seems like every other guy in the school does. So he goes and comforts Amy, and he gives Amy the necklace, and he says he found it. And Amy's like, wait. He's like, I just found it somewhere. And Amy's like, wait, like, where did you find it? She's like, I don't know, I just found it somewhere. And Amy's very happy. She's excited. She kisses him on the cheek. He's like happy and whatnot. And he's like, why on earth would you do that? Because obviously Amy's gonna show Greg the necklace. Greg is gonna know that he lost it in the crime scene, at the crime scene, and is gonna know that the person who gave Amy the necklace probably saw me. And you're putting your life in danger. Like, he's not thinking. He's not thinking at all. But anyway, they go back to school. Later on, he sees Amy showing Greg the necklace, and Amy is like so happy, and Greg is like not happy. He just storms out, and Amy starts to cry again. And he wants to approach her, but her friends come and they comfort her, they talk to her. Later on, after school, he sees Amy walking alone. Normally, Amy and Greg always walk together, but he sees Amy walking alone and he says, let me just walk with you to your house. And Amy's like, yeah, thank you for giving me the necklace. It meant so much to me. You have no idea. I'm not sure why Greg wasn't happy when I showed him the necklace. I don't know what's going on. Greg has changed so much. I can't even recognize the person that he is now. Amy like crying. And he's like in his feels and he's trying to comfort her. And then he says, Amy, I need to tell you something. And Amy says, what? And it's like, Greg is cheating on you, has been cheating on you. And with who? Do you know why? And then he makes the mistake to say she was Alicia from the other school. And it's like, why do I know that name? Why does the name sound so familiar to me? And then he tells her it's because she's missing. And it's like, what? And then it's like, and I have evidence that Greg killed her. Why would you tell her this? Go to the police. Why would you tell her this? And Amy is like shocked and says, how do you have evidence? Where do you have evidence? It's like, I have evidence in my house right now. And it's like, show it to me. And like, I'll show it to you, but it's my house. And then Amy's a little bit hesitant. She really doesn't want to follow this kid to his house, but she ends up doing so because she wants to see the evidence. So they go to his house. His uncle is not there, and then Amy's a little bit hesitant, but she goes in, and he's like, "The evidence is in my room." And Amy's like, "In your room? Can't you bring it down?" And he's like, "No, I'm scared my uncle will come." So they go up to his room. Amy's obviously keeping her distance and everything because she doesn't know who this guy is. Obviously, she's known him forever and ever, but she doesn't know if he's like sus. So after that, he takes out the clothes, he shows it to her, and Amy's like shocked. That's Greg's bag. Those are Greg's clothes. Those are the clothes I saw him wearing on Thursday. And then he's like, there's more. And oh, Amy is like, she's in denial. She's like, how do you know? How do you know that he didn't? And she's like, there's more evidence. And she takes out the phone and she shows him the selfie, the one that was not protected. And he doesn't want to show her the rest, but she insists and like, show it to me, show it to me. And then until he does, and she's devastated, rightfully so. She probably thought her and Greg were gonna be like high school sweethearts that get married, and he's cheating on her the entire time, and not only cheating on her, but he killed someone. And so now Eldon is like, okay, Amy, you believe me, let's go to the police. And Amy's like, we can't go to the police right now. I need time. I just found out my boyfriend not only was cheating on me, but he also killed someone. So we'll go tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is not a school day. It's okay. We'll go tomorrow morning, you and I. So later on, he goes to the movies with his uncle, Eldon does. And while he's there with his uncle, he realizes that he didn't think, Oh, before that happens, goes to school. At school, Greg sort of corners him, and Greg is like, "Oh, how are you, buddy? You know, I lost. Where did you find the necklace? Thank you for finding my girlfriend's necklace. Where did you find the necklace? You know, I lost something else. My bag." Doesn't say straight on my bag, but he's like, I lost something else with my sports patches and everything, and I really wanted. Thing is, it was in my room, but it's not in my room anymore, and I would like to find it. I thought since you were so good at finding things, maybe you can find it. You know, threatening him and saying, I don't want to have a conversation with your uncle and Charlie about my lost items. So Greg knows that he has the bag, but he doesn't know that he has the clothes. But anyway, so he then goes to movies with his uncle because his uncle has really been trying to spend time with him. And him and his uncle have a great day at the movies. His uncle's quite happy. But then it hits him. Greg knows that he has the bag. So what if Greg breaks into his house the same way he broke into Greg's house? And then Greg will also find the clothes stained with blood, find the notebook, he found everything. So he then fakes being sick and he tells his uncle he wants to go home. And his uncle's bummed out, but the kid is sick. What can he do? So the uncle takes him home. When he gets home, everything is there. And he goes to sleep. All is well. The morning he wakes up and he gets a call from Amy. Him and Amy has exchanged numbers, by the way. So he gets a call from Amy, and it's not Amy, it's Greg. And Greg has Amy hostage, some sort of thing. And he's like, yeah, I'll hurt her unless you come here and give me the bag and also the clothes and also the phone and also the notebook. Because guess what? Amy told me everything. And in the background, Amy is screaming, please, Greg, please don't hurt me. Eldon, I'm sorry. I had to tell him. I had to tell him. I had to tell him. And because he said he's going to hurt me or something like that. And so they come to the park in 15 minutes, the park where the murder happened. And don't call the police, don't call your best friend Charlie, don't call your uncle, come. And as he's leaving, his uncle sees him like, where are you going? I thought you're not well. He's like, yeah, no, but I'm hanging out with Charlie. The uncle's like, something is weird, which I really like about the uncle. He noticed that something is weird. The uncle says, are you okay? He's like, I'm fine. Even gives his uncle attitude and everything. His uncle sees this is not who you are. And the uncle says, okay, I understand you're going to hang out with Charlie, but give me Charlie's numbers. And he doesn't want, but eventually he does. And he runs off. He's 5 minutes delayed, but he runs off to the park. He gets to the park, and there's Greg holding Amy. Amy looks like she has been crying. And then Greg goes there, and Greg is like, show me everything. Show me the book. Show me the phone. Show me everything. And he shows him to him, and then Greg gives him a shovel and says, dig. I want you to dig a hole. So he digs the hole, and the whole point is after digging the hole is to throw the evidence inside. And Greg actually checks the notebook to see if he didn't exchange it. So he throws everything, like the clothes, the bag, everything. They douse it in gasoline and they set it on fire. And while they're doing that, that Eldon is like, you don't have to do this, whatever. Greg is like, just do as I say, and you can leave once you're done. And Amy's like, what? He can leave? What do you mean he can leave? He knows everything. He knows everything. So Amy was in on it. That was a nice twist. But as a true crime person and a person that has read a lot of psychological thrillers, I knew it was coming. Amy is sneaky. Because, how did Greg find out about everything? Unless you went and told Greg. That's why I was like, he should have never told Amy. Never. But Amy's like, you can't let him go. He knows everything. And Greg is like, what? Are you crazy? What do you expect me to do? Kill him. Amy is right, though. The guy saw you kill someone, kill him, And while he's distracted, while Greg and Amy are having that little argument, he takes the shovel and he bonks Greg in the head, and Greg is like a little bit, but obviously Greg's a big guy, doesn't do much harm to him. The the shovel falls down, and Greg takes out a gun. He had a gun this entire time, and they start to fight over the gun and everything. And now Amy is very angry. So he Eldon thinks Amy is innocent or something like I don't understand why Eldon is the way that Eldon is, but he's naive. He's a child. So they fight over the gun, Eldon and Greg, and Greg gets it. And as he's about to reach for the gun to aim at Greg and get the upper hand, Amy comes and bonks him in the head, like quite bad, like so bad that he literally falls down and he feels dizzy. And Greg and Amy start arguing. He's like, you need to kill her. You need to kill her. And kill her, and we throw her in a lake where we threw Alicia's body. No one will find her. And that's when Eldon puts two and two together. Like in her dead body. Like the night before, when he went to sleep, there was this morning actually, there was news that Alicia's body had been found at the lake, which means neither of them know that Alicia's body has been found. And reports have it that Alicia was strangled, right? But Greg says that he only bonked her in the head. So who strangled her? That is where the twist is. So Eldon is down, he's unconscious, but he can hear them arguing, the two of them. And Greg is like, I'm not gonna kill her, I'm not gonna kill her, I'm not gonna kill him. And Emmy is like, kill him, he knows everything, just kill him. And Greg is like, I'm not a killer. The first one was a mistake. And it's like, no, you killed her. You killed her. And then that's when he puts two and two together, and it comes to, it's a little bit dizzy, but he's like, Greg, did you strangle her? And Greg's like, no, I didn't strangle her. Like I pushed her by mistake. I just got so angry because she was threatening me. She was threatening to call Amy and everything. And I panicked. I ran away. I came back. She was dead. I don't know. I don't know what I did. And then Eldon is like, no, she was strangled. Someone strangled her. And if it wasn't you, then who else could have done it? Greg, you're not a murderer. You can still make it out. And Amy's like, no, kill him. Kill him. And that's when Eldon says, you did it, Amy. You did it. You strangled her. You, the one that killed her, it wasn't Greg. You killed her, then you convinced Greg that you killed her, that he killed her so that he helps with hiding the body. You are the murderer. So Amy was at church camp, but she got there late because before that's why they didn't have her name in the register. That's why they thought that she was not there, but she was there. She obviously had a tight alibi because she's smart and Greg is a little bit down. But what had actually happened was Alicia wanted her and Greg to become a full couple. So she called Greg, they wanted to meet. And before that, she also called Amy. Her plan was for Amy to catch her and Greg together and, dump Greg and all of that. She didn't account that Greg was going to get so angry and push her and shove her and hit her with it, and because he had an angry outburst, which is wrong as well. Greg is still wrong. He did hurt her, and then after that he helped Amy hide her body. But anyway, so Greg panicked after bonking her with the bag and ran off. And then Amy came and found her still alive and then strangled her. And Amy's she has this speech of, oh, girls like Alicia are disgusting. You were supposed to wait with me, Greg. We were supposed to wait together, but you couldn't help yourself. And I was rolling my eyes throughout the entire time. Because first of all, Amy, you're a murderer. You're a murderer. You're not holier than anyone just because you're waiting. You killed somebody. And second of all, Greg, if you feel like you cannot wait, just tell the poor girl that you cannot wait. You don't have to cheat on her, you know. But so she has this whole conversation about why she did it, about why she hates girls that don't wait and girls that steal other people's boyfriends, blah, 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 blah. And while she's having that entire conversation, Eldon is like lying there, like he's almost down. And Craig, now he knows he didn't kill Alicia, but he might as well have, because if he hadn't cheated, maybe Amy would not have. But maybe she would have. No, she would have killed. Amy's a psycho. She would have killed. She would have killed. Um, then Amy, like, Greg can't kill Eldon, so Amy's like, you're weak. I'll do it myself. She takes the gun. Booms! Guess what? No bullets. Greg, because in Greg's mind, he was only coming here to threaten Eldon, so he didn't put bullets in the gun. And Amy gets so angry, like, why didn't you put bullets? And she just falls over defeated. And just like that, we hear sirens coming. The police come, being led by Charlie, and they take Greg and Amy away. They take Eldon to the hospital. He has a concussion and everything, so he has to stay in hospital for quite a while. But eventually, when he is able to see guests, he sees Charlie, and sort of they make up and they apologize to each other. And it's essentially what had happened, how Charlie knew where they were, was Eldon's uncle was concerned, so he called Charlie, and Charlie's like, no, I'm not with Eldon. But Charlie sort of kind of guessed what was happening, because she also saw the story of Alicia on the news. So she also kind of like put two and two together, and she also figured criminals always go back to the same scene, you know. So that's how she knew. The police came, and that is how it ended. And then in the end, the chief of staff is like, the chief of police is talking to Eldon, saying, yeah, right now you are hurt, so we're not going to talk about it, but one day we're going to have to talk about this following people thing of yours. But yeah, that's following. Not, it was an easy read, 3 days, less than three. And by the way, I say 3 days because one day was his full day of reading. The other days were 2 days of me reading after my 9 to 5. So it was a very quick read. I mean, it's good enough to make you want to find out what happens, to make you want to. I remember I was reading it, and I just couldn't put it down because I just wanted to find out, like, if Amy is not dead, then who's dead, you know. But it's not the best book, but it is good enough. I would recommend this one to, you know, people in late primary school, like from 13 going up, even 12-year-olds. I recommend this to all my younger audiences. Pick it up. It's an interesting book. You will love it. It's very easy to read. And for my more mature guys, I don't know if this is for you. I will be reviewing one of the mature ones. But that's it from me. I love you guys. Thank you for coming and nerding out with me.